So do other guys chime in on this, or do they just listen?
I usually listen, but we get people feeding back to us through the chat, and we answer questions from the chat and stuff as we go and interact with them
Okay.
and whatnot. So it's conversation just goes in whatever direction it goes in, you know. I should have run and got a drink before we started.
So do other guys chime in on this, or do they just listen? How much time we got?
A couple minutes still before we're getting people in.
I'll go use the restroom right now. Hold on.
That's a good idea. So folks, we're just waiting here to get the viewers up a wee bit and we'll get started. If you know any new bros or you're in Jita or Amar, spread the link about, militia chats, etc, etc. The more people we get on, the more questions we can answer and the more new players we can help tonight. A reminder for those joining us as well who don't have Twitch accounts, AGI podcast channel in game, and you can get us in there if you have anything to pass on to us. Fire up some music in the background, I think, while we're waiting to get started here.
You still there?
Oh yeah, still here.
Okay.
So are you one of these drink as you go people when you're flying away?
No.
No. Super FC.
No, I'm not really good. I'm not a fleet FC. I'm more of a small gang FC.
Hell yeah.
So
So most of ours are drunk. Which could explain a lot.
I could explain the death ratio. I've been called ADD though in fleets.
ADD?
Yeah, attention deficit.
Oh right, okay.
So we'll have an objective and see a target. It's like, well, we need to go get this target. Wait, somebody else is over there.
I have a weird thing where I somehow insistently warp the fleet as something appears that we can get, and it's just constant. I don't know why. It only ever appears as the fleet starts the warp, and you're just like, well, that's useless. It's always like cruisers decloaking on the gate behind us, and you're just like, well, crap.
So what's the deal with this latest Caldari Civil War thing? Is it just Khan versus Garmin again?
It looks like Borg as a whole versus this greater harmony of Institute Technology crowd. I think somebody posted something they shouldn't have. I think it was personal information. From what I hear, it was personal information that was posted. So, by the way, I figure Borg are perfectly in their right to go to war over that one. It was a bit of a dish move if it's correct.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Gallentian militia. We piss each other off, but we generally don't go ahead and war deck each other.
Yeah.
Or if they do, it's kind of like an isolated incident, and everybody just says, "Hey, you guys go work it out."
So it's a Mimitar or a war with there's a bigger civil war going on in Mimitar now at the moment though.
Is that biohazard or something?
Yeah, apparently they've just been shooting posses belonging to everybody, which is a bit douchey. I don't see the point of it, you know. It's like, let's help our war effort and shoot our allies as pos. Go figure.
Yeah, you gotta create content somehow.
True. Hopefully we'll get some come the next expansion. As I put it on Twitter, maybe nullsecers will wake up and realize there's something outside of nullsec, but then pigs might fly first.
Yeah, I was out in nullsec for a month, and it was just so boring.
It is very boring. It's the people. The only reason to stay out there is the people, and if you can't find the people, you're just go home.
So I think it's a different style of fight. It seems like more of them are on. More of them got like Twitter account, or what's the account that allows you to let you know something's up? Jabber.
Oh yeah, Jabber, yeah.
So I think they just like stay logged off or play some other game until they get a jab.
Yeah, pretty much. They expect you to have Jabber open 24/7, and the second you get a ping, you drop everything and you come running. That's literally how it works. Apparently, though, during the BTAC-R fight, they were jabbering out for the Titan pilots to come back and press the next Doomsday button. And then they lock up the next target and stuff because it was taking so long.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Which I think is just fantastic. I'm just literally just spinning the station in the stream here, and the stream doesn't like it. I'm surprised Naden isn't on for retweets and stuff.
It's that type of play style out there where we're jabber and it's like lots of boredom and a big fight, and they just adjust their play style for that. Whereas in low sec, it's really more it's more instantaneous. Lots of little stuff. And if you're not available for the little stuff, then your system will get taken over, right?
Yeah. What do you mean by timer resets, Rambo? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Do you know what I'd like to see? Someone in the chat were saying that timer resets for the summer expansion. Juliana Satir's just gone, we're still killing stuff, we'll be there in the stream in a minute. To be fair, the CCDM pub chat's getting spammed with the innate defense fleets. Should have put a scout in there for the stream rather than out here. But I will. Ooh, that's an expensive prophecy. Why is that so expensive? Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, T2 Trimarchs. That won't have come up in this stream for you just yet, but wow. Thrashers. Julianus and his Thrasher gangs. That's quite
so
typical.
Julianus does FC drunk.
Oh, he well FC's drunk, yeah. Him and we'd search Scribbles on, and him and the other podcast host who is just apparently not bothered turning up. Is the two of them were sitting talking about beer for the first 5 minutes. I was sitting going, I don't even drink. I have no idea what you're talking about. It was a wee bit whoopsies. But to be fair, drunk fleets are good fun.
Especially drunk cockbag fleets are good.
Oh yeah, that's the only way to do those type of fleets though. You'd be bored in minutes if you didn't.
It looks like I got your video up. The chat keeps saying it can't connect.
Chat does that sometimes. It's a bit awkward, but I'll let you know what comes up. I'm hoping we can get. We're chatting. There was a guy from You Hurt one of Sir Scribble's guys doing a fleet last night, and they were talking about lemons. So people in fleet who just warp off by accident. I think it's this one. Yeah. So it'll come up in the stream in a second, but I'll post it in the chat for people. There's box basically explaining what a line warp and jump buttons are. Gotta be one of the most fun things. Alright, so I guess there's just a big fight going on at the moment, so people trickle in and the numbers tend to rise once we get going. So I'll hit recording and we'll get going, I guess.
Okay.
User in your channel has started recording. So, for those who've tuned in already, hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Capsular Podcast. I'm your host for this evening, Radomir, from Angry Gamers Inc. And joining me tonight is Gallentius. Hello. Silence.
Thanks for having me on. I guess I gotta press the alt button and talk. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, firstly, can I just say it is good to actually get a chat to you. because I have seen you about space quite a lot, as we've talked about before the show anyway, but for the viewers, I've seen you about quite a bit, I've shot at you quite a bit, I've primaried you quite a bit, and, you know, it's nice to actually get a chat with a person from the other side for a change.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to somebody friendly instead of smacking in local.
J2 Rambo has just put up something in Fleet there. Best situation is when you go into planet mode instead of warp because the buttons change size the second you wanted to click. I have literally done that 2 weeks ago. I was fighting a guy in an Algos. I was fighting in an Algos against something else, and the two of us were in structure, and I was aligning to warp out. And I went into planet mode, and all I saw, I just couldn't see anything. I couldn't find the button to get out of it. And the next thing I knew, I had the mail message notification jump up that was basically like, congratulations, you've got loyalty points for killing someone. I'm like, because you don't even get your... Oh, it was scary. It's one of those times where it's just like, what I do, and you panic. Because how often do you sit in that planet window most of the time to know where the exit button is?
Yeah, I've been potted like that.
Oh.
It's not fun.
No, it's not fun. What do you see? I'll put this pod loss up on the stream for the streamers to see. But this is one I lost to the Kanaka Onamon gate camp, so we all know what problems are getting through there. So there's not many kills on this account. Just ignore it. It's the special one. So my losses, I think it's this one. No, it's not that one. Yeah. I'll just put my shame up there for everyone to see. So, for those who don't know, what kind of stuff do you do in EVE? What's your job in EVE, if you like?
My job is to be the CEO of Just K. And so basically I'm 100% faction warfare. I make all my ISK in faction warfare, and I do all my PvP in faction warfare. And that's pretty much it. Have a very narrow game focus. Yeah. So I tried 0.0 once upon a time. It was kind of boring. At one point, our corp, when I started out, moved to Ashy for a little bit, where we camped the high set gates for like a couple of weeks, just getting an incredible number of kills, and that was really boring as well. So faction warfare is where I like to be.
Yeah, it's one thing that has always been about faction warfare, is that it never fails to deliver a good fight whenever you really want one. And like this week has proven that once again in India.
Yeah, Fox decided to push India basically for fights this past week, and our corporation has, as a result, has about 1,500 kills for the month so far. So it's just, ridiculous numbers of fights.
Gallentius,
but a lot of it...
Oh, go ahead.
Say, part of it's, the guys in our corp, we tell our guys, if you're going to be online, try to undock and try to go fight. Go look for stuff. And on the other side, there's all the guys in India, on the Kaldari side, who, enjoy a good fight as well. So it leads to lots of conflict.
Yeah, Gallentius put a tweet out yesterday, I think it was, that there'd been nearly 1,000 kills in India alone inside 24 hours, which is nearly back up to the last proper assault done in India, where I think we hit 1,400 in 24 hours.
It was amazing. I've never seen a number get above like 500 before that assault on India in early October.
Yeah,
every day it would go up 100 more, and I'd be like, "There's no way I can get it busier." And then the next day it'd go up higher. It just kept increasing. It was ridiculous levels.
Oh yeah, and CCP didn't even notice. They didn't even mention it.
I mean,
the tie-dye. I mean, we actually had tie-dye in India for quite... I mean, there was times when we were hitting, 60-70% tie-dye, which for faction warfare is, that's low.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Especially when frigate fights go so quickly, they suddenly find you have an extra, 0.3 of a second to lock someone. It's interesting. But it's one of those areas that delivers. I think it was a big introduction to that kind of large-scale warfare for so many people as well. Our guys over the past year, FCs over the past year,
have started getting better at broadcasting targets. In years past, the fights just weren't big enough to where it mattered. They're like 5-10 people, and you just call primaries and go for it. And nowadays, there are some times where you're getting like 30 on 30 fights, and you need to go through those broadcasts, especially for these frigate fights where it's really hard to see where the primary is.
Yeah, heck, some of the fights are even bigger. There was one a few weeks ago now where Caldari got absolutely ass raped on the AGI gate by capitals belonging to Gallentius and I think it was a snuff box fleet. I think there was nearly 150 on field.
Yeah, I think I was in that. I think that was the Scum.
Yeah, it was the Scum ones.
That was on the Kanaka gate. Yeah,
that was the one where you usually let one of our carriers jump out because Scum said it was friendly and realized afterwards it wasn't.
Yeah, in early January, one of our guys was tired. I think it was Guinan was tired of running around in kestrels and frigates and stuff, and so he decided, I want to get some bigger fights. So he put some posses in to reinforce, shot at some pocos, and it generated a lot of good content.
It really, really did. Yeah, I mean, as a result of it, actually, we'd started losing a lot of ground at the time because Tempest pilot, Caldari pilots only seemed to be flying stuff that was too big to fly into plexes, and Tempest would be a wee bit insider info. Actually, Tempest said basically, we are not going to be running battleships fleets unless we have to. He says we're going to be focused on destroyers down to get this back under control again, which worked. Caused a few unhappinesses, but the likes of Borg and Victor Harkslot and them, they kept running the battleship fleets and stuff like that, so the content was still being generated. It just, Tempest had decided that we weren't going to. So like, they can run it, you can go fly with them, but we're not going to replace your ship for you. Like, don't cry at us.
Yeah, this past week kind of shows the strength of faction warfare. In that if you actually go and like attack somebody's home system, it generates a very large number of fights, especially when the other side decides to defend.
Yeah, I wonder can I get the faction warfare map up here where I'm sitting. But the variety of fights is always so good in faction warfare. It's not the same blobby kind of ridiculousness that you get in Null, and while it's gotten a lot more blobby recently, certainly it's still a lot nicer. Oh, ICX is 99.6 again. Did we not capture that recently, or do we just fail repeatedly to capture it?
You fail to repeatedly capture it.
Okay, that's what it was.
Every time you guys go to the iHub, somehow like 50 of our guys come out of the woodwork. It's
not even that. Yeah. I can tell you now, 60% of the time, Dust is the one that screws us over.
That too.
It has been so annoying.
Through it, yeah.
And we got it down to, I think, about 30% shields, and Dust flipped it, and it's like... The first time that happened to me, we were trying to retake Kanaka in the middle of the summer. So do you remember you did that massive push where you shoved everything back, and you actually did get Inia for 24 hours, possibly? It was just after that we were trying to retake Kanaka, and we had the iHub, and I'm not joking, we had that iHub at 10%, and Dust flipped the sent it invulnerable, and we literally no idea what was going on. We were just sitting there going,
Yeah, it's a bit disheartening. I think our Dust guys sometimes may be a hindrance in that we have the advantage all the time, and so if it's at like if the OICX is at plus 25%, you guys, if your Dust guys don't flip it back, you can probably go take it, and there's nothing we can do about it. But if it were sitting at like 0% and you guys were flipping it, then we could send our Dust guys in there to push the contested level back and grief you. So our Dust guys don't give us enough thinkability on that, but it's still worked out pretty well over the past few weeks.
Yeah, I mean we've brought a Dust Corporation in before, and half the people most of them were playing for the Gallente, and most of them were running. I think it works on a contract system. I think most of them were taking contracts for the Gallente instead of the Caldari, and we kind of sit there going. And then there was other guys, and then there's other people who were literally trolling Caldari in our alliance chat, and we're sitting there going, hang on a minute here, since when did we swap sides? This is really miffing. Dust bunnies are still cute.
There's a couple guys. I think the co-ops, John Vanis, is one of the guys, and they put together a really good Galente dust faction together. So they're really organized. It's pretty amazing. And I guess you see it throughout the war zone because everything's skewed toward our side.
Yeah, I have someone asking in the podcast channel just how quickly, and this is a big one for PvP in general, but I guess faction warfare is now so again. How quickly should you get into faction warfare, and like what skills would you need and stuff like that, which I think is a big one for PvP.
I think it's mostly, we've got our Derp Atron fit, which you guys have fought against like hundreds of times, and almost any pilot can get into one of those.
Oh, don't. They are fantastic, though. They are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I have 100 million skill points, and I probably fly it too much. Our guys in our corp get upset because they want to fly more expensive ships, and here's our CEO running around in a 1.2 million ship. But it works, and it's good for the job. But if you're new, you can definitely get into Derp Atron, and the key is to get out there, get into low sec, and start flying around and try to make some contact with a Gallente, a good Gallente faction warfare corps, and get on comms. And once you're on comms, you'll have access to fleets, and you'll have a lot more fun. And these Atrons cost like 1 to 2 million ISK. So really, the key is, can you support the low sec PvP lifestyle, which is fairly expensive. We can make it cheap with these ships, but as a young player, it's really hard to make ISK.
Yeah, I mean one of the things we do is we've got Derp Kestrels and Derp Merlins because we've a lot. You'd be surprised how obsessive some Caldari corporations are about only flying Caldari, and some players only fly Caldari. I'm sure you've got a couple in the Gallente militia as well, but
I only flew Gallente for my first like 5 or 6 years in Eve.
Oh wow!
So I understand how it works, and that was when Gallente ships were horrible.
We've got,
and it was tough. It was really
Kestrel, Derp Kestrels, and we call them Derplins and Derpstrels. Sound a bit like minstrels, really. Though other chocolate brands do exist, and they're great because you can just pick one off contract and reship really, really quickly if you don't have stuff there. I saw one, and I've always really wanted to talk to you about this one, and we seen this back in September, I think, was the Derp Corm. And you said Cormorants that were like 1.3 million ISK, and we were looking at them and we were so miffed by it.
Yeah. So the way the Derp fleets, the history is on these Derp fleets is SOTF took Rybaka from Happy Endings, like when we took the entire war zone. The way they took it was they fitted up like 1,000 already cockback thrashers, but made him T1, and they would just continually ship him into the system and just zerg every plex, and they took the system like that. And so last winter when we were fighting Evoke in EHA, they're a really good PvP alliance, and they had a large boss sitting in EHA. They were like filthy rich, and there was no way to really counter them with our good ship. So we were like, we need a counter. And since I'm Gallente, I was like, I want to get a derp fleet doctrine going, so that we can have a chance. And so I said, instead of derp thrashers, we're gonna do attrition catalyst. And as a side note, we decided to take Dopified's T1, or actually he had a T2 scram fit frigates. Micro warp drive, scram, shield extender frigates. He would take them out in fleets and go kill everything. So I decided to make a T1 version of that. And that's the one that stuck. And so they're all shield. And so once you do the shield, then you try to expand the doctrine. So we came up with the Derp Burst to rep them. And the attrition cats just had no armor. Or, they have they're not shield fit. So they weren't any good for fleet concepts. So we decided to come up with the Cormorant. And that actually worked out fairly well, but not really all that great. So for some reason, those T1 fit Cormorants didn't fare as well as I thought they would.
They did. They did. They took us aback. I think is until we worked out what was going on. They took us aback for a bit, and I know it took us a moment to go right. We've got cormorants here. They're doing quite a bit more than the Atrons in damage tonight, and we skirted around them for a bit. There's been a lot there's been a lot of cormorants out with you guys recently. A lot of your sniper ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all based on the towers. You know, Dreadit came in with their tower fleets, and it took us about a month to adjust. And sniper corms are one way to adjust to them, because what we found is, like, if you're within 60 kilometers of these towers, there's really nothing you can do, and it pretty much eliminated every single catalyst fleet we had, because you didn't have the range and you just get alpha'd immediately. So those corms can fight outside the range of the towers. So that's why they're there. And then the other thing that we're flying lately is the Coraxes. For the same reason, they're just a really good counter to the towers.
Yeah. It took me ages to get rid of my test tower. I bought one, and it took me nearly a month to get it killed.
Yeah, they're ridiculously cheap, right?
No, not really.
Well, not ridiculous, but they're very cheap because they got the metal missile launchers.
Yeah, the metal missile launchers.
And they're all based on alpha, right? So.
Yeah, this one was 12 mil, but I had a lot of loot in my cargo hold, so it inflated. I think they're about 6 mil, but it is an alpha concept. So the idea the missiles hit and the ship just explodes.
Yeah, and it cleans up the field. There's very little that can counter those fleets, and so it kind of cleans up the field. We lost a lot of really good fleet concepts because of that threat. Or a lot of interesting fleet concepts because of that threat.
Well, speaking of fleet concepts, you guys have used Vexers quite a bit. Drone assist.
Yeah.
The drone assist nerf. Is that going to be a problem, do you think? Or is that something that wasn't an issue? Did you manually use them anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I think Guinan and a few guys started doing the drone assist Vexers. I'm not sure it's going to be a problem, because instead of one guy for the whole fleet, what do we got, like 20 guys in fleet, so it'll just be 2 guys firing on a target instead of 1.
Yeah, squad commanders and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, but it's amazing that those Vexers are working as well as they have been. So I wouldn't have foreseen that, because when we've taken the Vexers, if we get in a 60-man gang with the Vexers and we go up against the Omar and their Maulers, and their 60-man gang, they usually beat us. But that was before everybody started doing drone assists with Vexers, so who knows? Be interesting to see a fight with that with those concepts going.
Yeah, Vexers are such a versatile ship when it comes to cruisers, because drones, basically, they can do whatever you want them to. You need them to go to range. They can go. You can't kite a Vexer. Most weapons will be in range of the drone control.
Yeah, as a Vexer pilot, I often get frustrated with them because targets, a lot of times, they die before my drones can even get there. So there's that delayed damage thing that works against them quite a bit.
Yeah,
there's good and bad about them.
You're gonna love this. I just got a mail from the Tempest Directors mailing list. I'm not in there anymore. I will be again soon, but at the moment I'm not. I'm just going, okay. That basically means there have been no mails from Tempest Directors for the last few days, if I'm only getting one now. Unless I've been re-added to it.
They get pluses and minuses. Then when guys fly around in like Kaidi fleets, they're worthless, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen lately is like already Rapture fleets, and that's one that's gonna be hard to counter.
Yeah, they're Rapture's a nice ship, but it's one that requires a bit more concentration and IQ than some others, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what we like to see, is things changing every so often. Old doctrines going out, new ones coming in. People just changing things up. It's what's needed.
Yeah. So we've been doing pretty well with the Ishtars lately as well. I'm usually not in those fleets, but our main FC in Just K likes to fly them a lot, and they've been pretty successful. Not really for faction war though, just for roaming games.
Keep getting distracted. I'm chatting to people in game now as well. I'm getting convoyed by people in local.
Nice. So back to new players coming in. It's really you gotta like have a decent ISK income. Either you gotta learn how to use faction warfare to make your ISK efficiently, or you've got to have a side business going on that allows you to bring in enough ISK to survive.
I gotta say, it's one of those things as well that you have to ask about, because you come into faction warfare and it's all PvP, and then you're like, well, apparently this is really good money, but how do I actually do it? And I think people have to ask this sometimes, and it's surprising how often it's assumed that a new player who's just joined knows how to make ISK in faction warfare.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it's tough. It's one of the requirements when we join Corp. When you have a guy join Corp, is he's got to know how to make ISK, because if he doesn't, our experience is he'll quit the Corp, within a couple weeks.
We had a guy quit because he didn't expect to die when he joined.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
We were just like, right mate, you joined faction warfare to join one of the busiest PvP war zones in EVE, and you didn't expect to die. But I think that's one of the things as well, is you have to expect to die and lose ships in faction warfare. Like, get in a corporation or an alliance who are prepared to answer questions and help you, because that's where you learn. You learn from other people. That's how you learn to speak. That's how you learn to write. You learn from other people. It's the same with a game that's really as complicated as EVE. And like that, a lot of points are a good income. I mean, we had a guy trying to cash the loyalty points out in a normal Caldari station, which apparently you can do, but like hook bills were 3 times the price. He was like, how is this good money? And we're like, what? And we worked out what he was doing, and he was like, oh, okay. But, because we just said cash your loyalty points out at a station, we didn't specifically say State Protectorate, and he had no idea.
Yeah. The thing about expecting to die. I joined EVE Online when faction warfare just started up, and I eventually joined a corporation called Microfunks. And their objective, a lot of the corporations at the beginning of faction warfare way back when, their objective was to recruit a bunch of players, get big, and then go out to 0.0 and go take on the world out there. Faction warfare was a recruitment zone, right? Yeah. And I was dying left and right, and I continually got convoed by our guys in Corp saying, dude, quit dying so much. You're making us look bad. It's like the kill boards were such a big deal, and having a good kill board really mattered. And I was like, dude, I'm like a new player, and every skill you have like 30% advantage on me. I'm gonna die if I go fight. I'm gonna die. Yeah, that's just it. I'm not smart enough to take advantage of all the different ship styles. I think the one new guy who's done really well in FAC warfare since I was that I've seen was Chatgris from QCats. He's not playing much anymore, but when he started out, he was always good, and he was soloing in his Rifter, killing stuff left and right. And I think one of our guys, Yuri Antilari, is really good as well. But
Yuri's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, most people are not good when they start EVE, and when you tell them to worry about their kill board, it really retards their progress.
One of the things that Chakras actually is a good friend of Armour Purgatorium's, and he convoed us about a month back actually, and was one of the people that actually really encouraged us to change our logistic program now to open it up to the Gallentius militia. Because he was just like, dudes, we have contracts sitting here that aren't getting filled and are sometimes expiring. It's like, any chance you'd be interested in picking up the slack? And we're like, okay.
Yeah, if you can make some ISK at it.
Well, I mean, like we were talking about before the stream, it smashes Black Frog prices.
Yeah.
Which is the point of it, make it cheap so that the point. I mean, faction warfare is useless if people can't get the ships to the war zone, then nobody's going to fight if they're waiting on ships. So it's about making ships available, and we've always been of the mindset that we don't care if the Gallentius have ships, because if they don't have ships, we're not going to get any fights anyway. So it's a two-way street. They have to have ships and we have to have ships, and we don't mind. Plus it's ISK in our pocket.
The key figure of merit in faction warfare, if you want to win faction warfare, the first thing you have to do is undock. And the second thing you have to do is undock in a ship. So you got to get the ships to low sec.
And when you do so, you have to be prepared that that ship is most likely not going back to that station.
Yeah.
Unless you're justifying chaos and QCats.
Nah, we lose a lot of ships.
Oh, I know you do. Don't you worry.
We kill a lot of stuff.
I remember Chakras' 10MN Courser he used to run around in.
Yeah, those QCat guys, I think that was their staple ship for a while.
Oh, it was ridiculous. It was whenever I started Faction Warfare, I just come out in nullsec, and this car, I was only supposed to join Faction Warfare. It was literally to do orbital bombardments, just because I thought they would be fun, and I just kept dying to people, and I was like, how can I be this bad at this? I didn't die this much in nullsec. And then I remembered nullsec had a 100-man fleet behind me. And literally had to learn the PvP from scratch. I still can't kite.
Yeah, it's a totally different game.
I literally cannot kite. If you look at my kill board, it's all stuff that will brawl with you. Autocannon Algooses, autocannon Thrashers.
Yeah, that's a fun thing. 'Cause I used to make a living off my Nano Comet. I think I flew it exclusively for about 2 years, and would just make easy work of every destroyer in the game, because it had a TD on it and there were no missile destroyers or drone destroyers, and it was great. And then they came up with the T1 frig rebalance, and all of a sudden Atrons and Condors were faster than me, and they started catching me, and it was the death of the most fun ship I ever flew.
Yeah, that frigate balance is easily one of the best things I think to happen for getting new players into fleets a lot easier. Because I mean, look at the burst, for example. I might pull it up in a second. We have a burst fit that outputs, it's a Python type burst, so we use Python type small shield reps instead of Tech 2, and it works out that it works out the equivalent of having 5 Tech 2 reps on the burst.
Oh wow.
And they're only at the moment they're up about 4 mil each. Well, they're about 3.7 mil each, but I mean, I was buying, say, as soon as they dropped to 2 mil, I was just clearing the market up out of them. And for 2 mil for a rep, a rep that was outputting that, they were fantastic. And they were such a, because they were only a meta, they're a meta module, not a Tech 2. Anybody could fly them, and they were completely cap stable with I think it was an afterburner running and the 3 reps running, and I was hitting 700 meters a second. So it was perfect for Logi.
Yeah, nice.
And
so there's lots
Griffins
of
and stuff as well.
Yeah. I remember when I started playing the game, it was Falcons were so overpowered. We'd be fighting somebody and one would decloak over 100 kilometers off and just jam everybody. And so now they jam people quite a bit, but they're not as overpowered as they used to be. And, especially with the spur sets. Make Griffins not overpowered. And I think they boosted they've got that compensation skill that helps out a little bit as well.
Oh yeah, that was a really nice one. I keep forgetting to train that on characters.
Yeah,
you forget about it, that it's there.
So it's a really good. I mean, the balance in the game is really good right now. At least destroyer and below with the.
I like the cruisers as well. It's nice. It's nice that even they have a degree of usefulness, and that if you want a nano kiting something, you can go for something like the Caracal. Or if you want something that's going to sit there for a while, you can take Maulers or Fixers or something like that. There's still a lot of options.
That's true. So the Maulers are good. The Caracals seem to be really good in large numbers.
And like you mentioned as well, you want a better range. Arty Rupture. Yeah. And that's still a cruiser.
Which people haven't been using. I saw Fwed it rolling around in one a couple weeks ago, and it was, we just had no idea how to, with the ships we had in station, it was like, we can't do anything against that. So, but I'm sure we'll see more. I think we'll see more of those, and there'll be some counter that comes up against them. The one ship I'm kind of disappointed in is the Moa.
I thought it's so bad.
Yeah, like when they did the rebalance, it was, it had the resist, it had the DPS. It was like, wow, this thing's just a DPS, HP times DPS machine. And it just hasn't worked out that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can tank it really well, and you can get a high DPS off it, but it doesn't still seem to perform. Like, we did an Alliance tournament before the summer, and we took a MOA in with 550 DPS and about a 45k tank. Like, and that is beast. It didn't stand a chance. Got slaughtered.
Yeah, it's probably it's hard to think of a good situation where they can be used a lot. It just they look good on paper, but when they get out in space, they don't seem to perform as well.
Yeah,
I think that's where you got that's where you think the Vexor is great, because it can project damage out to 10 or 11 kilometers. Where
definitely. Or take some Stratios out there.
Kind of screwed. Yeah.
Pretty expensive shiny V. Someone's asking about tackle frigates. So like Drippy said, Condor Slasher, but also you've got the Derp Atron that the Gallente would use. A slightly tankier tackle frigate is Merlin's a pretty good start for that, or an Incursus, a dual rep Incursus. Dual rep breachers, they can hold a tackle at close range with a scram and really take the punishment so the person can't get away from you. Bait breachers are fantastic.
Yeah, we found the Derpatron's an excellent tackle machine, except when you're fighting these like 10 MNAB coursers, or the things that can get away. The not having a web hurts you a little bit, but it's speed. So if it's fighting a micro warp drive ship, it's great.
Oh, definitely. Well, Khan and Borg have actually been running with slashers a lot more recently. They're pretty convinced the slasher is more cost efficient and better than the Derptron.
Yeah, they're wrong.
Oh, there's fighting talk there. We might have to.
Yeah. The funny thing about his fits is he always has like one module that just makes no sense. So when he fit up his Derpatrons, he didn't put a damage control in the low. So he just lost a lot of tank. And with the slasher, they've got like a smart bomb in the high, and I don't know.
The smart bomb in the high is to get pods. The idea is the ship's going down, they burn in, and they hit the smart bombs to take out the pods before the pods can warp away. That's the point of the smart bomb. I think I might have just given away a secret, but you would have worked it out eventually.
But yeah, I mean, it's 1v1, the slasher is probably better, but these Atrons are really, they just get better in numbers.
The Atron looks better anyway. Which, to be fair, is half the reason I fly half the ships I fly.
Yeah, but the slasher probably has an advantage because of the selectable damage.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
If they're facing a Harpy or some other T2 Caldari or Galente hull, they can actually apply real DPS to it. Which these Atrons, any of these Galente hulls, when they fight especially Hawks, when we go up against Hawks and these Derpatrons, it's just we hate them because there's nothing you can do. They've just got the resist. They got a massive tank in it. It's a hopeless situation.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about derp ships is they're all well and good up to a point, but they can be hard countered pretty easily with something like the Harpies. Or even if you throw a few bursts in for Logi, that's it. The DPS they put out just is never going to be enough. As long as the fleet
Yeah.
isn't stupid enough to burn away from their logi, which Caldari militia usually is, in my personal experience of flying a burst. It's like, we've only got a 33-kilometer range, don't leave it.
Yeah.
Piloted 60-kilometer broadcast for shield reps.
Every time we've gone up against those slashers, they don't seem to fare too well.
No, but meh. It could be the Fed, could be the people, who knows? The derp corps, actually, we used your derp Etrons in... What's the gate in from Ikoria?
Oh, the Akadaiji?
Kajari. Oh, it is the Akadaiji gate, yeah. So the Ikoria Akadaiji gate. The big capital fight that was in there, I think before Christmas, the one where it was one of Amara alliances or something. Oh, Korea, best Korea, whoever it was, lost the dreadnoughts. A lot of that tackling was done by a Derptron fleet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show that even the Derptrons were a big capital fight, and then there's Derptrons in there doing the important part, really.
I mean, and you might as well fly cheap tackle, because if all you need to do is get a scram, might as well just go cheap tackle, because anything that can kill a T2 Atron, or anything that can kill a T1 Atron is going to kill the T2 Atron. So, that's the philosophy behind it. So the guy who really, taught us how to, fly these things right was Dopified. I don't know, have you ever been up against him?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay, so he's taken, I think he quit the game in December. He'll come back eventually, but because due to real life stuff. But he's a great new player FC, because he's not necessarily the Derp Atrons, but just the micro warp drive shield tank frigate. He really knows how to FC these things, and you can get guys into those ships and teach them and he did a really good job of teaching the fundamentals of PvPing to young guys, and he'd open up his fleets to the entire militia, and he'd get 20 or 30 guys into the fleets. They just go around low sec killing stuff.
See, this is
really neat. And
this is the thing that I hate doing as an FC, is opening up my fleets to the entire militia. Opening up to blues and other corporations alliance with, I don't have a problem with, but see, when it comes to public militia, I can't trust any of them.
Some guys are really good at that stuff, and Dopified was one, and we really miss not having him around.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I guess we say join an actual corporation if you want to do faction warfare and PvP, because A, the militia chat is not going to help you 99% of the time, they will troll you. B, you're not going to get in most of the fleets, and C, even if you are in the fleets, they don't care about you unless it is one of those FCs like you were talking about, or it's a deliberate fleet for the militia to train them.
Yeah, you gotta have a high tolerance for pain.
There was talk in a certain channel recently of just removing pilots from fleet who weren't flying the right fits and weren't flying the, weren't in what they wanted to be.
That happens in my corp once every 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, I can understand.
We get that large discussion going, and what we decided was that FC is king. So if you have an FC who's really uptight about that stuff, then fine, you better bring the right ship to his fleets, because he's asking for it. And if there's a laid back FC, then the laid back FC can do what he wants.
I mean, the way I look at it is, I want the fleet ships, and this is the way I've always been. I want my doctrine ships there. That's what I want. Anything after that is tackle. If someone turns up in a Drake for an armor fleet, and that is literally all they have, though, I'll take it, just because it's a ship and is better than having them there nothing, which, given all alliance contracts have, all alliance have contracts up, rather. So I got momentarily confused. That shouldn't really be a problem or an excuse, because most doctrine ships are on contract anyway. And you'll most likely find someone willing to lend you one. Someone's
Yeah, I
asking.
find it's good to have a balance. You gotta have like when I'm FCing a fleet, I don't really care. I just want guys to undock and go fight. And I'll say, hey, let's get into dirt patrons and let's go. And if somebody brings another ship, if they end up bringing a hook bill to the fleet, let them stay in fleet and just tell them, look, guys, you're going to be primaried first and you're going to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
That is
so
actually what we as Caldari FCs go for first. Is we leave the Atrons because we know they're not worth killing. You know, we see a hook bill, we go for the hook bill. We see a T2, we go for the T2, and that's what we take out.
Yeah, that's the way it is everywhere.
Low.
So if I could, I want to shout out to the one corporation in Gallentius faction warfare. They're called Federation Navy Military Academy. So if you're a new guy listening to this podcast, that's probably the corporation to join. So I think the character who runs it, his name is Veliandic, and he's got he's got a main corporation, and then this new then he's got his alt running this other corporation, and already this month they've got 150 kills. So they're actually fairly active.
What's that name again? And I'll pull it up just on the in-game.
Yeah, it's Federal Navy Military Academy. So right now they've got like about 23 guys, and it looks like they're fairly active. So he just started it up a couple months ago, probably precisely because of this problem.
Yeah, so there it is, folks. There's their badge and their name up on the stream for us. Good Cal Mill Corp. That's a tough one. There are a couple in Templars who will help you out, and who have lax requirements. I know CCDM require you to have Tech 2 and at least one small gun. But if you join, if I get it up here, CCDM Chan, there are people in there that will point you in the direction of the Caldari one, but I don't think there's a Federal Navy Military Academy equivalent for Caldari. Caldari's become a bit more closed for new players, unfortunately, I think.
Doesn't Khan fly open fleets?
He does fly in a lot of open fleets, so if you see Khan Krasnatak or something like that, I can never say his second name. Khan anyway, he flies for Borg, he does a lot of open fleets, and I think they're actually fairly new player friendly, now that I think about it. And they're...
Yeah, because he's flying the derp slashers and those things all around. So he's probably a good fleet to get into. But you got to try to get into fleets as best you can. And if you're cut off from communication, the best thing to do is to go to a really active system, start running plexes, and get noticed. Then once you get noticed, guys will talk to you and you can get into fleets.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Someone's asking any militia-wide intel channels. There are, but they're usually kept fairly well secret, in my experience, or they're entirely useless. I don't know about you.
Ours are actually. We've got like one intel channel where if we see a corp in there like semi-active, we'll get them in. And it's fairly open. We know there's spies in there, but at least it's one layer of the onion for intel channels, and it gets guys in, and they can get into militia fleets through it, and get more active that way. But first, you got to get into a corp. We don't really open it up to individuals. It's a it's a corp wide thing. Otherwise, restricting the channel would be impossible. So, again, get into a corp that hopefully wants to PvP, and then get them out in low sec killing stuff, and you'll get noticed. And then you'll get into the intel channel and move on from there. So I gotta say, I like how Gallentius Militia, how we've ended up doing stuff. It seems
I really shared. You all use the same TeamSpeak as well, of course, which I think is fantastic. It must be really easy to get a hold of people.
Yeah. So do you guys have shared TeamSpeak, don't you?
Not really. Templars has one, and everyone has access, and then you have the the one that Spam are using at the moment, which is the Militia Public one at the moment, but there's more spies in there than in the Militia channel.
Okay. Yeah, we try to just not worry about the spies. We know they're there.
Well,
and if you worry about it too much, then it just destroys you end up not doing anything. And our perspective is, spies will eventually get us fights. So as long as they're getting us fights, it's good to have spies on comms.
It's really annoying, though. I have to say, it's really annoying when FC after FC after FC after FC in a chain just gets primaried because the spies just gone, this person's FCing now, this person's FCing now, and they just one after the other.
Yeah.
It's the worst kind.
Yeah, the other thing I think we do pretty well is like training. We've got a lot of guys who can call targets in our fleets. So even when our FC goes down, somebody's right there to pick it up.
Yeah, and I think most
really
of the militias are like, Calari's definitely like that at the moment as well, which is exceptionally necessary. I mean, even if it's just it's a player who has a concept of, who just speaks up and goes, keep firing at such and such, and just picks the next target. Might be the wrong target and not the best one, but as long as somebody steps up and starts,
as long as you're firing at something,
and everybody's firing at the same something, it's better than chaos because nobody's decided to step up. That's usually how new FCs get caught as well. That's usually how someone gets caught for FCing with us, is they open their mouth in a fleet and call a target. Ah, dear. I'm just sitting looking at the Stratos and it's so fantastic looking. That's great.
Did you buy a new one? You must have bought a new one.
I bought one specifically for this so I could stare at it during the stream.
Nice.
Fitted up and rigged it and everything.
A couple of our guys like sitting in plexes with Cloaky Asteros and Stratiuses.
They are really, really hard. Those Asteros are really hard to kill. They're really tanky. DPS is not bad for a frigate as well. But so I'm sure we'll get more questions from new players as we go along. So if there's new players listening along, just drop them any questions you have, even if it's not about PvP or whatever, and we'll do our best to answer them, because that's part of the reason for this podcast tonight.
Yeah, I'll just answer fictitious questions. The ones that really matter. The first thing in faction warfare is, when you run the plexes, you get loyalty points, and then you cash in those loyalty points. The best way to do this stuff is to do things in, I guess the biggest figure of merit in faction warfare is being undocked and fighting. And anything you can do to maximize that time is better. So after when you collect your LP, make sure you collect a lot of LP, and then go to a high-sec station. I guess if you're in Caldaria, it's real easy. You can get direct access to JITA. But if you're in Galente, you don't necessarily have great access to JITA. So what we end up doing is we take one of our 3 characters, our market guy, and we put him in JITA, and we have him buy and sell stuff. So if I'm trading in faction warfare drones, we'll have the alt buy a bunch of buy a bunch of Tech 1 drones in JITA, and then use a courier service like Red Frog to ship them to a high-sec FDU station, such as one in there's several Castleman's one, Valor's one, Orville's one, Jufvit, and the name of the last one slips me at the moment. But you ship them there, and then once every 2 or 3 months, have your main go to that station and cash out the loyalty points, and then use a courier service like Red Frog to get it back up to JITA. And then contract that to your alt and have the alt sell those items in JITA. And that works out well for our guys. At least for our newer guys, it helps them out a lot once they know that process. Because otherwise you spend like an inordinate amount of time personally transporting items from one location to another. That's time you could be out in low-sec fighting and making more LP. So that's the first fictitious question that always gets answered.
Yeah, I think your mic's crackling a wee bit there. Just show you're aware.
Is this better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. So basically, have alts do stuff and use courier services to move stuff around. It's a lot faster and allows you to stay in low sec fighting.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to help you guys with that courier service at the moment. I must actually get that up for you. I tried to swap
Yeah,
windows
that'll
there
work as well.
to to put somebody up in the stream because they were chatting to me and they were asking, "Can you see me?" And I was like, "Hang on, hang on."
Yeah, in Just K we have a couple of experienced guys, and so they we contract the jump freighter service in Corp, and we use our Corp funds to pay them a little bit of money, so they don't get burned out or bitter.
F
That's been working out well for us.
FZ or FZ XS22. Yeah, you could use a trial account to move them. I guess is one way.
Easier,
Bit,
just look up. Yeah, if you could just type in Red Frog's, just type in Red Frog's web address into the chat. That's probably they're really reliable high sec courier service. There's also a in-game channel called Allers Channel, and you can post courier contracts in there as well. So if you're Caldari, this stuff doesn't matter too much because you're transporting from Jita throughout Caldari space. But if you're Galente, there's no way for you to take your main and transport stuff to Jita. So you get killed by the Navy.
I've posted Arper's logistics there. Allowed stations we take contracts from are Inia, Jita, Onamon, Didixi, Nen, and Valor. So we'll ship to any of those contracts. I'm not sure what the price is for high sec. I know we used to do high sec contracts for free, so we would move, for example, from Jita to Onamon for free because it'll fit in the back in one of our own runs anyway. The only thing I will say is ours is collateral free, but we do have a billionisk insurance policy set aside for it, so it's, we don't keep liquid on hand to deal with your, if we had to pay, hold money for collateral, we would have to hold about 30 billionisk at a time, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, our philosophy is if you're worried about collateral, then
don't
use a commercial service.
But I mean, we've yet to lose a contract, touchwood, so far so good. That's angrygamersinc.com/eve/logistics. And there's a mailing list for that as well, which is possibly changing because we're changing the name of it from Arper Logistics to Angry Gamers Logistics.
Yeah, that always goes to the second question, which we've discussed plenty of times. That's how do you get ships to low sec? And the answer is use a courier service.
Yeah, I mean for 50 million ISK for 330,000 M3 worth of unpackaged gear is a lot of T1 frigates. It's 400 or 500 T1 frigates.
I think you can fit like 120 frigates in a jump freighter. So if
fit or unfit?
Yeah, unfit packaged. It's about that. It's like 100. It's about 120. So that's if you were doing dirt batrons, that's 50 million. So it adds like about maybe 300 to 400,000 ISK per ship to the cost of the ship, which is nothing. If you're T2 fitting if you got a good T2 fit frig, it's about 5 to 10 million. Another 300 to 400,000 really isn't all that much. But it just goes to the point that do things in bulk. Don't do things piecemeal when you're in FAC war.
Yeah.
So when I started out, we lived in like Heikenheim, and I was a moron. So I would like individually take a ship from Orville to Heikenheim, then go back get another one to Heikenheim. It was just a big waste of time.
I used to do the same.
Things that you could be doing that stuff. Yeah.
I used to be the same when I joined up. I would have dragged ships from Jita down to Usi, and there are a couple of NES-sized systems along the way, and it is a nightmare.
So now that you know how to make ISK in FAC war, you know how to move stuff to low sec. That's most of the problem. We told you how to get into comms, so now you know how to do that. And the last thing is just undock and go fight. does nobody any good having you sit in station waiting for an FC to tell you what to do.
Yeah, there's no substitute for experience in any walk of life, and the same goes again in Eve. The only way you're going to learn what beats what is if you just go out and do it. Droopy, put it in an alliance so I can pull it up in the stream. This is going to be one of the first posts in our alliance chat, actually. Haha. Sponsored by Neutrals and Local. Wee! So, it's...
Yeah.
You've got to be scared not to lose ships. You've got to just go out and do it. I mean, if you're going to do mining, you just go out and mine and kill rocks and you work out what sells best and you do it. But if you're going to do PvP, you got to do the same. You got to go out, you got to work out what is selling, or what beats what, who you need to be afraid of as well is an important one to pay attention to. Because if I see, for example, Gallentius and Local, I know there's usually somebody else somewhere. Probably vice versa.
Yep. Yeah, you got to know your surroundings. The only way to know your surroundings is to undock and fly around and start making mental notes of everything.
Yeah.
So even just warping around the systems and knowing which gates are close to which other gates, and understanding the map is a big deal as well. And you can't do that sitting in station. So that's it. Undock, go fight, learn your area, learn which guys are tough, which guys are not tough. Yeah, and that's half the battle.
Yeah, definitely. So some which we wanted to talk about in the podcast, and we've actually managed not to get near, but I want to touch on because this was supposed to be the theme for tonight. And I think it's something that new players, because it's another type of PvP, and this is probably the next biggest type of PvP that really occurs in the game, and that's piracy. So, piracy is basically those who shoot everything. So it's going into low-sec, you'll find gate camps, you'll find pirates like Snuffbox and Scum in the area of Black Rise who will literally shoot everybody. And piracy is a different type of PvP, I guess, in some regards, because they tend to have bigger fleets than we do. In my experience, anyway, whenever they fleet up, they tend to fleet up properly.
Yeah, so pirates and interacting with faction warfare it's kind of interesting. Pirates usually fly better ships. They don't fly as often, and that's really the main deal. I think pirates, for the most part, they'll spend their week care bearing, building up assets, and to buy really expensive ships, and they'll use those ships on the weekends to go kill stuff. Whereas in faction warfare, if we flew Tech 2 ships all the time, we'd all be in the poorhouse. So necessarily, we need to undock and fight, and to make sure that we can actually undock and fight, we usually fly much less expensive ships.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about piracy as well is they have an added advantage when it comes to PvP in that they don't have to worry about blues as much as we do. If you think about faction warfare, half the people when you go in the system are often friendly, and then the other half are war targets or pirates, so you can shoot them. So you end up... Faction warfare restricts your targets, but at the same time you can make an income out of it, and it's a lot more new player friendly. I mean, new players in piracy don't tend to last long. Because if you think faction warfare is hard to earn money, you should probably stay away from piracy. Because they fly some shiny stuff.
Yeah, most of the pirates, or the successful pirate corporations, live in lucrative systems. So, for example, Shadow Cartel used to live in Ashy. Ashy's probably one of the best low-sec systems in the game for making IS. They have a Sisters of Eve station there, and they've got a level 5 FIO station. And when who's it? Best Korea, when they were around, they were in Hellinan, and Hellinan has a level 5 agent. And so you'll see that a lot of times the pirate corporations take over lucrative systems and use those as their income. They'll run like level 5 missions.
I've heard, I think it was a Scum pilot say this about faction warfare. Faction warfare is piracy where you get paid to do it and only security standings 50% of the time.
Yeah, faction warriors are just they're privateers, not pirates.
Exactly. And so we do get paid.
My sex status is like minus 8.5 right now, so I think it happens to every faction warfare pilot. At the beginning, you're really protective of your sec status because you want to go back into high sec. And after a while, it just becomes impossible. You just kill a couple too many pods. And the next thing you know, you're less than -5. And at that point, it's hopeless. And so you just end up forgetting about it.
Yeah. One of the things I find... One of the most annoying things I think about the pirates we have is that both Snuffbox and Scum have Titans hidden away. Now, I know yous have them. No point denying it. But you don't really use them. I mean, when we go up one of your fleet against one of your fleets, we're not really worried about you Titan bridging another fleet in. What we do worry about, though, is when the likes of Scum or something, and you get a report that they're Titans on D-Scan in Kanaka Local. And you're going, well then, now we have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, when they do that, you have to use the plexus to your advantage, right?
Exactly.
So you gotta, if there's a potential Titan bridge, or you get the feeling in your back that hey, they're probably gonna drop on us. The first thing you do is open up a medium plex and go warp to it. You don't necessarily have to go in it. If you got a BC fleet, you don't need to go into it. But if you stay outside, they can't drop on you at a plex because it's a dead space zone. So that's one way to counter their hot drops. If you're sitting on a gate and they come in and they hot drop on you, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, it's Rambo saying, "Wish you wouldn't lose sex status inside plexes." That's something I've put to a member of the CSM actually, that they are going to try and look into something for us, because if you think about it, what is a faction war complex? It's supposed to be a military site. So, what happens if you walk up to an army base with a gun? You get shot at, don't you? So why, when someone turns up to a faction warfare site with an armed ship, do we lose security status for defending it? Yes, it's kind of a, if you're at war, then that's a different thing, but if you're a neutral party and you walk up to a military base, it's kind of a bit stupid that you should get, that the person defending the site should get punished for defending it, and stuff like that. I don't know.
So I've heard arguments both ways. I agree with your position, though.
Yeah, I mean,
the pirates will tell you, "Hey, harden up, buddy. You already get this lucrative income through faction warfare plexes, and you want to keep your sex status as well. What the hell?" So.
Yeah, it is a two-way street. I think the best thing for faction warfare that we can happen is sort out the issue with the fact that everything takes place. Is the whole faction warfare needs a revamp. I think it needs to become less of a grind and more about the PvP, encouraging PvP. For example, I know the CEO of Stay Frosty. I see him on Twitter at least once a week complaining about warp core stabs.
Yeah, well, he's not. Yeah, this is the funny thing about faction warfares. You can use faction warfare to get massive amounts of PvP. And my corporation is a perfect example of this. We have 1,500 kills this month so far, and it's only the 6th or 7th. And the reason is because we went to India and we attacked a known Caldari home system, and the Caldari, to their credit, came out and defended it, and it led to lots of fights. So you can use the mechanics to get PvP, and that, assuming you want to get PvP, which everybody says that's what they want to do. Everybody knows how to get that. And what you have to do is you just have to say, like, those farmers are out there in the backwoods, and we can't do anything about it anyway. So don't bother with it. Don't bother with those guys. Let them do whatever they're going to do, and we'll concentrate on PvP.
Yeah. So someone's asking what plexes are. You've got plexes, which are what you use to subscribe your account, but there are also complexes. So what I'm in the stream now is what's called a complex. So you find them through your scanner, and you can just warp to them. So in faction warfare, you have complexes, and you go in, and you're either offensive plexing or defensive plexing. So obviously offensive is in an enemy system, and defensive is in a friendly system. You tend to get a lot, well, not tend to, you do get a lot more LP for offensive plexing, but then defensive plexing is one of those, if you like, necessary evils in life. No one likes it.
The CEO from Stay Frosty, probably, don't they live in like Oyuleta?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Which is way in the backwaters of faction warfare, right? Nobody goes to Oyuleta.
Yeah, I mean, if you're complaining warfare about having stab ships down there, and that's all you can find, that should be expected, because like you said, nobody goes down there. I took a fleet down there.
They would do, yeah.
I took a fleet down there the other night just because, and I was amazed. Some of the nebulas and stuff down there are pretty cool. I was like, I've not been down here in literally 6 months.
Yeah, we're kind of getting spoiled where we are.
That's one thing about pirates, though, is the same with Scum and Snuffbox. You talk about hitting pokos and stuff to deliberately force, a fight, and to get that fight. There are pirates who do that, and fine rightly, they're Titan pilots online, and they have a fleet sitting on the Titan waiting for you. But their small fleet at the POS is, all they have, and they're protesting and looking, and you're like, guys, we might be faction warfare, but we're not quite that stupid. Almost. Not quite.
Yeah, the other thing is, like, when you get a reputation for winning all the time, nobody wants to fight you, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to fight a group who have 4 Guardians sitting on a Titan, along with a couple of Pantheon fit Archons sitting in station ready to go just in case the whole thing goes pear-shaped.
Or you never want to fight an entity that's not going to fight unless they know they're going to win. Right? So
pretty much. And the pirates definitely don't do that because they fly more expensive stuff.
So one of the best back warfare corporations of all time, they were called Space Perverts and Foreign Warriors. I think if you look in the forums, Bad Messenger was their CEO. I think Damar, if he wasn't in there, he was like affiliated with them a lot. They were probably the best corporation ever. I mean, they played faction warfare right, and they just never lost a fight. And eventually people just decided to not engage them. It just wasn't worth it. Then they got bored and crumbled because of inactivity.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The challenges is keeping things fresh for your players and making sure that you keep interest. I mean, at that point, they should have literally started losing fights, which you don't want to do.
Maybe
but
if they lost more fights, they would get more. But it all depends on what your objective is and all that.
And the pirate. That's the thing about piracy, though, is they have to win, and they most definitely have to win. Otherwise, they just won't come near you. And if they lose, the rage is worth the win. I have to say, it's worth it.
There are other pirate corporations out there. I'm sure the Stay Frosty guys didn't they come from like Tuskers?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure they're a small gang, and they'll probably engage people at not favorable odds. And ever since I've been in this game, like Tuskers have always been guys who will take a fight outnumbered and at a disadvantage and try to win. So they like the challenge. Like they like those challenges. And they probably get more fights out of them because people know they're not going in there always to win.
Yeah, I certainly know that I'm going to head down their direction once I get back in and settled again. Just because I just want to tweet at their CEO one of his last meals. I just have to hope I don't give them too many to tweet back at me first.
Yeah, so really we're kind of like putting pirate groups in into one group, but really there's a lot of different pirate groups out there that specialize in doing different things.
Yeah, I mean, Stay
And so
Frosty are. I mean, their Frigate Free for All showed their ability to do that, and that was quite a good event. And I know we lost a player to them, and he's still just running about in frigates he's left over and just killing and having fun and enjoying the company while he does it. So I mean, I think if people are looking to PvP but in a more piratey way, Stay Frosty are probably a good place to go. If you don't want the restriction of having, a massive purple list or a massive blue list, whichever you want to call it. I would say even more so than the old faithfuls like RVB gang or RVB and Brave Newbies. Brave Newbies are really blobby. I think they've kind of lost what they started out to be. But
that's interesting.
That's just my that's just my opinion on it. Don't shoot me, people.
Yeah, I don't see them much. I don't go down to Barliquid all that much.
See, we had a lot of interaction with them when Test were here because Test used to have that agreement with them. But halfway through Test stay, I mean, they had an agreement where they did not shoot FCs because the fleets were supposed to be training, and if the FCs goes down, there's not much training going to be done. Because the fleet just falls into chaos and that's a game over. And Test Alliance could punch out the Brave Newbies FCs a lot faster than the Test ones. But Test stuck to it and Brave Newbies started punching out FCs at the start of the fight. And Test were like, well, we're not going to lower to your level, and told them to clear off.
That's funny. Yeah, we would fight Test every now and then. There was this one Test FC who would complain that we would kill him all the time, when in reality we were just like shooting the target that was closest to us.
Which one was this?
I forget his name.
Ken Morton?
But
no,
might have
it wouldn't
been
be. Ken didn't complain too much about it when I was on.
There's one other guy. I forget who he was, but it was hilarious. We were just engaging by range, and it just happened to be, he just happened to be closest to us, and he'd die every time. It was hilarious. And we'd be like, look, then he'd be like, I'm going to take you out XG because you're the FC. And more than half the time, I'm not the FC.
You're not,
so it doesn't matter.
It's like, you'd say what you want, I'm not the FC.
They didn't like me. They targeted me a lot.
We still do. It's one of those things, like we said, whenever you're going out there, you learn the ships, and you learn what ships counter, but you learn the players as well. And even if you aren't the AFC, as far as players go, you're still a pretty good, solid player. It's like Dean Wispin, Chat Crisps, and Yuri. The ship might be exactly the same, but the person piloting can make a hell of a difference.
Yeah, especially Chat Crisps and Yuri.
So bad. Chat Crisps actually just logged off during this. I have him on watch list.
Yeah,
I keep my tabs.
He's amazing. When we started Faction Warfare way back when, he would be out in his Rifter solo, and he'd be, hey guys, I got this guy tackled 4 jumps out. And so the whole fleet would start burning towards there. And right when we get there, he'd say, oh, never mind, I killed him.
We had
just piss everybody off.
One of Armin Purgatorium's other FCs, and actually my co-host who clearly showed up tonight. It was we had a fleet inside a Plex, and he'd warped, and as he'd warped, a couple of Atrons had landed on him. I think it was like 2 Atrons and like a Rifter and something else. And we were sitting inside deliberating whether we should bother going out, because we knew there was more ships coming as part of the fleet, and we didn't want to have half the fleet out and half them in. And he was like, okay, first one down. And we're going, okay, we might be able to go out and help him here. A second one down. Third one down. Fourth one down. Okay, I'm coming in. And we're sitting there like,
oh god.
He just tore the 4 of them apart in an autocannon and Thrasher. And we were just sitting there like, why are we here? If you're just going to do it all for us. I think he was on about 60% structure by the end of it, so we had to a couple of bursts, and we had a burst or 2 in fleet, and we just wrapped his shields, and that was all we could do for the moment. Just bumping a rattlesnake on the station here. Ugly brute of a ship. So it's, yeah.
So, a long time ago, before the latest incarnation of FAC War, there were lot more like Gilas out and faction, more pirate cruisers roaming about, and the ships were a lot more expensive. That was when the LP that was when you made your risk like running FAC war missions and not the plexes.
Yeah,
But
you kind of have
nowadays
to wait
there's
for
just
you have to wait for the tier 4. Either that or just during Minmatar.
no, but nowadays there's just too many fights, and it's not nobody can survive flying those ships.
Yeah. I think
So
I was going to say this. We kind of got sidelined. I would love to see more loyalty points awarded for PvP because
yeah,
it really isn't worth going and looking for a fight per se when you could just sit and farm.
yeah, but a good fight's its own reward.
Good
And
fight is its own reward, but at the same time, a bit more LP might encourage. Because I mean, if you get like 750 LP for a kill, it's what 750,000 disc, and that
it's
kill
like we
might
were
have
talking
taken you
earlier.
10 minutes of flying about. Whereas if I sat for 10 minutes in the novice, it's yeah. So it's a wee bit. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not talking about making it so you kill a friggin' you get 10 million is worth of LP kind
yeah.
of deal, because that will be stupid, and but a wee bit more would just make things a bit.
I think they've got it about right. The biggest problem in Eve, and this is not only faction warfare but anywhere, is when the other guy doesn't show up to fight. Whether it's a Plex farmer who just runs away, or you're plexing some system where nobody shows up to fight, then the game is just awfully boring. You could say that about reinforcing posses and pocos as well. You spend 20, 30 minutes, reinforcing a pos, and then you come back and kill it, and the other guy didn't show up, and it's like, God, what a waste of time. This is just boring.
Yeah.
And so you just gotta play the mechanics right, and that go where guys are gonna show up to fight. Go where they're gonna defend.
Do you
If
know
you do that, then it's great.
it's surprisingly easy to plex in Amelia these
Yeah,
days. It's very easy. I've taken fleets in there and ran plexes just
yeah,
in a hope of getting a fight, and we're just sitting there going, this used to be easy to get a fight in here. But
yeah. You
it's
gotta. It's
Iha.
kind of it's kind
It's
of
all
strange.
Niha.
Yeah. So it's like we get fights in EHA, and so all the guys who want to get fights move to EHA and get fights. I think what you got to do is like what we did this week, and that was like where we pushed India to a certain threshold to where the guys have to come out and fight to save the system. And when you do that, then you get lots of fights.
Yeah.
Again, the problem is who wants to spend all that time getting the system up 40% to get those fights. So,
Yeah.
but when you do, there's a good reward for it.
There is a good reward, and hopefully, I'd like to see this Inia stuff carry on for a wee while. And it's tiring, but I'd like to see this Inia fight carry on purely so I can get joined in on it once I get everything sorted. I think I have to stay. I have to stay for our corp tradition on Saturday, and then I can put my faction warfare character back and let my main run the alliance from there.
Yeah, I think the Innie offensive's over for a little bit.
Oh,
So
we'll push on EHI again then.
yeah, you could do that. Then we'll get all our guys upset. I'll get upset and say, guys, we need to get Innie to Ihan defended, and then there'll be lots of fights.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you gotta put the pressure on the guys to actually undock.
I wonder, can you bump Concord? It's just a random thought. Anyway, so we're gonna make moves to wrap up, I think, because this has been a good, fun, long one. If you have any questions for all the new people on the channel, if you have any questions, throw them out over the next 5 or 10 minutes, and we'll get them answered, hopefully. So anything at all, but no questions. But as a new player started Eve. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope you've picked up a couple of bits and bobs from tonight. I tell you what, it's always good having a pilot like yourself on from the other, from the other side of the war zone. Because it's nice to hear how the other side sees things,
Yeah, my perspective is a little bit skewed. I think a lot of other pilots or you're a little bit upset with the mechanics. But I enjoy it. I enjoy FAC War, and I don't even need to try to go get PvP and go kill stuff. It just, you just undock and it happens, which is great.
Yeah. So folks, hang about now. I'm going to get the stream set up to do our usual giveaway. I've been sitting here in Kissigo, and every so often I've been throwing like a million ISK or 2.5 million ISK at a pod, so just for the lulz. So I'm gonna get it up, and as usual it's we'll roll for 2 pirate faction frigates, and I'll give you a mail on Twitch, and what you do is you just reply with your in-game name to the Twitch message on the left hand side, and I'll contact you in game to sort out the prize. If you join us in game at AGI Podcast and also follow us on Twitter, you can keep up to date with what's going on. You can get information on how to donate to us as well, and all of that good stuff. The more you tell us, the more we've got to talk about, and guests and stuff like that. Ideas are always welcome as well, of course. So just any questions, feel free to fire away. This is now where I get the stream complaining about me having too many tabs open again.
Gotta say, the graphics on your screen are sometimes better than mine.
And that's the streamed quality going out. So I've tabbed in chat there for the king, okay? For the king, so everyone has to get in the prize draw, you have to type for the king, and I forgot to put the key in. So you just type for the king in chat exactly as I have, just copy and paste it and post it, and that'll enter your for the draw, and we'll roll the dice. You have to make sure you're following us on Twitch to get a prize, so just press the follow button, it'll let you know when we're broadcasting. Now that we're sorted up getting our websites pretty much finished building again, we'll be streaming a lot more content, so rooms and stuff like that. We'll be streaming our Corp Tradition and then a nullsec room on Saturday night 2300 Eve time, which should be good fun. We've an inaugural bookmarking that we do in every home system. So we're going to go do that, and we're going to take out we're going to take a Desi down fleet out to nullsec and show them how to PvP. We hope. "41 in chat, and apparently only 11 of you want a free pirate frigate. So pirate frigate includes a Astero as well, so Astero, Worm, Dramiel, yada yada yada.
Yeah, you can get one and be primaried.
Yeah, you can get one and be primaried. Jesus Crust's won twice now. My girlfriend's won twice, she's got neither. I think there's someone from from Test Alliance have won twice as well. There's a couple of names that keep coming up. So anyone else, come on folks, for the king in chat, and that'll in the Twitch chat, and that'll enter you for the pirate frigate. If there's no one else in a minute. So Evil Rain, I ignored your question completely. When you leave Faction Warfare, standings still screwed. When they bounce back, they are still screwed pretty much.
Yeah, if you want to preserve your standings, then what you do is you don't kill
pods.
I think you don't kill the NPCs.
Oh, I would suggest not killing pods more than the NPCs from personal experience. My Federal Defense Union is minus 9.84 at the moment, which is not bad. And my State Protectorate is finally positive again.
Yeah, that's another thing that's kind of annoying is that like when a neutrals from the scope or the Fed Navy Academy come into your plex and you have to
Yeah.
shoot them first, you get a major Galente faction hit.
Yeah, try and
Which,
avoid
which, which,
AWACSing.
yeah. So, well, that's not really AWACSing. That's just defending yourself against neutrals, but you get hammered because their NPC corp is associated with the Federation.
Oh, yeah. We don't see that very much, actually, I have to say. Right, looks like there's 13 for this one tonight. So for the first one, we'll roll now. So, Torino? We'll give it a minute because of the delay in the stream. So Torino, I'll send you a Twitch message. So it's on the left hand side of your screen and there's a message thing. Just send me your in-game name and I'll contact you to get the prize set up and you'll have it as soon as I can. So wait for Trino to say a wee hi in chat so that he knows. Anyone else? There's still time for plenty of other people to get in for the last one. Evil Rain, I'm gonna put a picture in chat for you just because you said that and I fancy getting out one of my picture collection. Let's see. There you go. Most corporations have a few hoops. Oh, someone just posted the same thing for me as me. Yep, someone's posted it, same thing as me. If you're looking for Galente, what was the name of yours, Gallentius, the one you were talking about?
Oh, for what?
The new player friendly corporation to get into Faction Warfare.
Let me look it up again real quick.
I think
it's Federal Navy Military Academy.
And I would suggest looking at CCDM as a good CCDM, Caldari Colonial Defense Ministry. If you're looking for Caldari, it's a good place to start. They have requirements as well, but they might be able to point you in someone else's direction who are a bit more relaxed. So we'll do the second roll here, and we'll see who it is this week.
Yes, I linked it in the chat.
Oh, there we go. And it's I hate trying to pronounce Asimilco Borg player, maybe. And we'll send you a message as well. Asimilco, we'll get you your frigate. So that's all from myself and Gallentius tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on and finally getting to chat to a face I've seen, or a name and a picture I've seen for last year.
Right. Thanks for having me on.
And we'll see you all next week. Like I say, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch, and join us in-game in the AGI podcast channel, and you'll be able to keep up to date with what we're up to. So, yeah, I'll see you all later. Bye.